Good day and thank you for joining ＳիվիլНեթ. Today our guest is Cengiz Aktar, a professor of political science, someone who served at the European Union for 22 years, a writer, journalist, and an activist, also one of the people behind I Appologize campaign that gained popularity after the Hrant Dink assassination. Thank you today for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here in Sիվիլիթաس, in Yerevan, in Armenia.
And there's so much to discuss, especially these days, especially taking into consideration the Bundestag discussion tomorrow regarding the Armenian genocide and also Turkey's possibility of visa-free entry into the European Union. These things are coming and accumulating at the same time. What's your take on tomorrow's anticipated events?
Well, the Germans issued a similar resolution way back years ago, and pointing at their own responsibility and asking the Turks, or inviting the Turkish officials to take note of it and to take the advantage of this kind of history recollection like they did after 1945 for the Armenian genocide. And of course it went totally unnoticed in Turkey. This resolution, they postponed it once, not to annoy the regime in Turkey, and on and on. But now apparently, there is no more room to delay it. They will probably vote. All indicates that it will go through. This resolution is not only about the very fact of the genocide. It's also about the responsibility of the Ottoman Empire in the genocide, something which very few people really mention in Germany. In Turkey they have no clue anyhow. If we accept a few scholars, but the Germans have no idea about this. So it would be extremely helpful to launch a debate in Germany also, because according to the latest publications, actually last year 3 books came out in Germany, and 2 were translated in Turkish, if I'm not mistaken, and which clearly points at the at least that the Germans knew about it and decided very consciously to not to act against it. So we will see the outcome tomorrow. Of course, the Germans, the government, the chancellor won't be at the parliament. The minister of foreign affairs won't be in the parliament. So 3 parties would vote for, and probably Die Linke as well. But the Turkish ministry, Turkish president, the Turkish National Assembly, they all sent messages the last 1 week.
Yes, of course, and I also read that it was said that it will be just another text on paper and it will not have any consequences on the way Turkey acts. We will continue doing what we've done before when other countries recognize the genocide.
Yes. Right now, few minutes ago, I have read on the Twitter, my timeline, that the Turkish Prime Minister, the newly appointed Prime Minister, has declared the genocide as an ordinary event. No, I don't think they will do anything, and if not to continue to reject in bloc. The funny thing is that I don't see how Turkish authorities can reject a resolution which talks also about the responsibility of the German Empire. It is a bit weird.
So in this sense, maybe this is a first-timer, in a sense that a country might recognize a genocide and recognize its own involvement, direct or indirect, in it. But getting back to what you said earlier, is that they cannot postpone this discussion anymore. Is it just a matter of time running out, or is it just a matter of general geopolitical situation that
well, I
Germany is more
mean,
ready
if
to
we
pitch?
take you know, the very environment, I mean, the political environment and the Turkey-EU deal, you know, on the refugees and the visa waiver discussions and all this kind of things. Of course, it's not timely. But I mean, what is timely for something which has over 100 years, really? It's ridiculous to compare this, you know, the today's, you know, very material, you know, down-to-earth concerns with a major crime. And I think the Germans hopefully have realized this, and it won't be postponed. This is for sure. And I don't think the Turkish side will react, you know, will overreact to it. I mean, the German-Turkish relations are much too big and important to be affected by this, really. They may call back the ambassador for
which has become customary.
Yeah, but I mean, to send him back for Bayram at the end of the Ramadan, which starts on the 5th or 6th of June.
But recently Turkey's gained a lot of favors from Europe, given the Syrian refugee situation and Turkey hosting so many refugees. Is this a factor that affects Turkey's integration into EU? You've been an advocate of EU integration.
Well, the European Union, you know, has preferred to deal with Turkey on this very issue, including the visa waiver, the discussions and the negotiations, as a third country. And that was on itself a very strong signal to the world, and to start with to the European public opinions and the other member states, that Turkey is not considered anymore as a future member, because you don't deal with a future member, you know,
inciting a terrorist
like
threat from Turkey as part of that.
I mean, you know, Turkey has no refugee policy because it has a very rudimentary. It has a very rudimentary, you know, knowledge of what is a refugee. Because it has a geographical limitation to the 1951 Geneva Convention on Refugees. So when a candidate country negotiates with the EU to become a full member, one of the conditions is to lift this geographical limitation, to get rid of it. EU never asked for this, or when it asked for it, Turks say no. So they are discussing on an ad hoc manner. And secondly, to conclude a deal, to cut a deal with Turkey, they have taken the policy line whereby they decided to oversee or overlook at the massive human rights violations in Turkey. So that clearly means that for Europe, for Germans to start with, Turkey is no more a genuine EU candidate country, which is in a way confirmed by the praxis of the Turkish government as well.
Two questions in one. At one point, the closed borders with Armenia were an issue into the when the discussions about Euro integration were proceeding. It's like no European country can have closed borders with another country. So this was considered one of the obstacles into Turkey's European integration. Is that on the agenda now?
Well, I mean, frankly, you know, there are so many shortcomings in Turkish politics, be it internal or external, you know, be it vis-à-vis its own citizens or vis-à-vis the neighboring countries. That frankly, I mean, which one to emphasize?
And in general, in your opinion, is Turkey general, the public, ready to be integrated and to be part of the EU? Because the general concession from what I read or understood was that a lot of people are not looking forward to Euro integration.
Well, yes and no, because, you know, Turkey is in very, very dire straits now. And many citizens realize that after all, at the end of the day, the only viable, you know, formula for the future of the country and for the future of the children of the country is in the EU integration. And we see this constantly now in all opinion polls taken, you know, the last 4 or 5 years. You know, more the regime becomes authoritarian, if not totalitarian, more the public, you know, turns the eyes to the EU.
And speaking of totalitarianism or authoritarianism and the current parliamentarian situation in Turkey, I'm speaking about Garo Palyan's actions and what he was subjected to or what he's doing. In your opinion, is that something that will yield any results? An outspoken person like Garo Palyan, who's also being subjected to...
Many people are really concerned about the safety of Garo, and I mean, he was openly attacked in the committee, in the committee in the parliament, which was discussing the lifting of the parliamentary immunity. And I really admire him. He's very courageous, and he does very, you know, he on the 23rd, I think, or 4th, and the same day of April, he went on the you know, on the chair. I mean, he took the floor and showed the Ottoman Armenian MPs, Zohrab and the others, and. So, but will that, you know, make any, you know, any effect on the official Turkish policy? And I don't think so.
If not the official Turkish policy, maybe public opinion?
No, but this is, I mean, this is what I repeat every time I take, you know, I have the opportunity to talk to Sիվիլիթաս, etc. I mean, when it comes to the Armenian genocide, I think we should once for all make it very clear that there is a very, you know, visible stance, difference of stance between the Turkish public opinion and the Turkish official narrative. Of course, when I talk about the Turkish public opinion, it's not 100% of Turks, but there are more and more Turks who refuse to swallow this lie, this 100 years old lie, that nothing happened. I mean, frankly, to the declaration of the Prime Minister today, I wonder whether anyone would react, really. People just will laugh and go, I mean, and continue. And so, I mean, the last 10, 15 years, the memory is coming back in Turkey, I mean, and very forcefully. I mean, the Kurds, for instance, you know, they are more and more ready to recognize their involvement in the genocide. And, you know, young scholars are digging deep in the archives, and so you know, as the French say, you know, the body is much too big. It doesn't fit in the wardrobe, you know. So it's you can't hide something like this, and so but this is an irreversible trend. Of course, the big question is when it will reach the you know,
the peak, when it will become
the peak of the decision makers, etc. But I mean, I can tell you that among the legislators, I mean, not only Kurdish ones, but also some others, you know, in private, you would more and more find, you know, some, not one or two, much more, you know, who would say, yes, of course it was a genocide. But I mean, but from there to, you know, to see an official policy, we are still very far.
So a lot of people believe that the recognition or any first step towards recognition, not even full recognition, is not possible with Turkey's today's governance. And a governance that's not going away anytime
It's not
soon.
only a matter of governance from Bina. I mean, it's of course it's very much related to this, because you know the present regime is very much playing the nationalist card, etc. But we should also remember that there is an Azeri element in it. You know, Turkey and Azerbaijan now have you know, very, you know, high common interests. You know, the TANAP, the pipeline, the Azeri investments in Turkey, etc. I mean, Turkey has tied itself completely, you know, to three countries actually: Qatar, Saudi Arabistan, and Azerbaijan, from where it receives funds, investments, etc. So it will be very difficult, not only for this government, but for any government really, to cut all this and say no to Azerbaijan, and on countries Armenia and Armenian policies, because it's not only the genocide, but it's also Karabakh, etc.
Speaking of Azerbaijan and the Nagorno-Karabakh situation, the conflict, Turkey was one of the only countries that, like, loudly and promptly said, we defend Azerbaijan and we will support Azerbaijan. Was such kind of an announcement necessary, or within what context was it?
It was a bit zealous. It was unnecessary, but we should know that, I mean, Turkish institutions are completely, you know, shaken the last 5-6 years now. I mean, normally, even if you feel close to a government or a country, you don't make it public like this. It's totally against the basic diplomatic rules, you see. And but they were, you know, I mean, they don't care about all these things. In that sense, Turkey is becoming a kind of banana republic, really. You know, you don't do this kind of things. I mean, even if you support Azerbaijan, fine. But I mean, you know, you don't show your cards, you know, right away. I mean, it's after all, it's a big game.
And just taking it geographically larger, there's tension between Turkey and Russia recently. Are this open support for Azerbaijan, could it be in retaliation to Russia in any way?
Well, I mean, I heard this theory, I mean, frankly, but I don't think so. I mean, Turkey is not at all a player, not even an actor, and not even a minor actor in the Southern Caucasus. I mean, no, I think this is really purely Azeri, you know, initiative. They probably informed their friends in Ankara, but frankly, no. I mean, this is very Azeri initiative. I mean, Turkey is desperately trying. I mean, Ankara is desperately trying to re-establish, you know, the lost link to Moscow, because there's no tourists. The export of goods, you know, has been very hardly hit, etc. So no, I don't think that they will take yet another, you know, anti-Russian initiative.
And one last question, Dr. Aktar. Your own campaign, which grew into, it got 32,000 signatures, I Appologize campaign. When you penned down that open letter or the announcement? I
penned it, you know, I was contemplating this even in the, when Hrant was alive. And, but with his assassination, of course, it became a kind of must. So I contacted a few friends, and and then this group, came down to 4, and at the end I wrote this call with Ali Bayramoğlu, and we went out. That was on the 15th of December 2008, and it was an important milestone in the overall return of memory in the country. It came and went, but it's still there. And but now we are doing other things within the Hrant Dink Foundation and elsewhere, to help the healing of the Turkish society, because we should all understand that the main victims of the genocide were Armenians are Armenians, and but we should also we shouldn't forget that there are indirect victims of the Armenians, and this is probably the entire Anatolia.
I also wanted to ask you more personally, and when taking up such an initiative, what were your personal thoughts, fears, sentiments? Because you're doing it as an intellectual within a regime that doesn't necessarily support such announcements.
Well, in 2008, the political environment was conducive, really. Of course, we received, tons of,
unpleasant messages.
Yeah, messages and swearings and all sorts of things. But basically, the government decided not to go ahead to prosecute. So, which is already something, but we don't know, because now the regime is heading towards a very worrisome direction, and anything can happen to anyone. There is no more proper judiciary in the country. But in 2008, you don't do this kind of things if you fear something anyhow. So. And we went ahead, and it was not easy. Some others took the initiative of commemorating the 24th of April publicly 2 years later in 2010. So it was, also, but now it's fully everywhere. Almost more than 10 cities, I think, have commemorated this year. So, but it's very slow. But it is very. It's very healthy. It is a very healthy exercise, development, and it's a very healthy process.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and we thank the viewers for being with ＳiviLNet.